Come on, James.
Hello? 9 minutes past. Go! Back here.
Watch it live. I want to watch it high definition.
Yeah. Future.
Right, so okay, I'll get going. We're expecting a few more, I understand, in 2 minutes. Good afternoon, my name's Ben Miller. I'm the business manager for Cooperative Systems. Get on to slide, business manager for Cooperative Systems at Dynniq, managing the growth of the technologies and the value propositions that are added through the platform that those provide. I want to tell you today a little bit about what we're doing in Cooperative, provide a very brief introduction to the technology, a crash course if you like, and then give you a rundown of some of the things we've been doing of late and some of our plans for the future as well. Our vision for the area going forward. So, for a number of people in the room, I expect there will be questions, perhaps a little bit like this, like these, relating to Cooperative. They are the set of technologies are still in their early stage, and the future is bright. When rolled out, we expect there will be a vast amount of data that is generated through Cooperative-enabled vehicles, and there are certainly a number of unknowns that will continue to remain unknowns for some time to come. Dynniq, we expect to we've had to take a view on a number of the factors. We see this as being significant going forward, and therefore want to take steps towards a cooperative-enabled network road space in the future, for which we're taking action now. For those of you for whom these questions mean nothing, fear not. I will give a brief rundown as to what this area is all about in a moment. Before I do, I thought I'd sneak in, if you like, our key getaway, where we think this is going. So, from Dynniq's perspective, the question we're really asking is about how can a new resource, data resource, be utilised or harnessed to the benefits of operators, managers, and strategy in the city space. In this particular occasion, I'll be focusing on the real-time operational aspects of that. I will touch on a number of elements that are related, but perhaps not so much in real time. To start with, it's all about collecting, processing, and presenting data in a meaningful way that helps generate awareness of issues on the network, or indeed confirm existing issues on the network that we've known about for some time, but perhaps understand them in a little bit more resolution. So we want to provide information and present that to a traffic operator in a monitoring capacity. Secondly, we see a further step as being generating insight through targeted information. That's with a little bit more processing once we've identified the problem, starting to generate a route to solving those problems, to solutions, and generating insight about the network in real time that allow for operational activity, but also with historic data that builds up over time. The real thing that's going to close the loop here, what we're talking about is a two-way information delivery mechanism, and the key thing here is about delivering influence on the network. Who took for the traffic operator to influence their network now with context-relevant information that's delivered directly to the vehicle. So that's really what we want to be, what I want to elucidate for you today. But just a promised rundown of briefly what the platform looks like. There's a number of elements. Essentially, we're in the world of Wi-Fi. It's not just any Wi-Fi, but that's a useful comparator. There's a family of standards that have been generated for over a number of years that have resulted in a special dedicated band of Wi-Fi that is for traffic infrastructure use, that enables communications directly between vehicles. Where does Dynniq fit in that picture? That's not necessarily anything to do with us. Well, there is also infrastructure communications enabled in the same system through the same family of standards, and there are essentially defined message sets that are shuttled between the moving vehicles amongst themselves, so they can talk amongst themselves, and with the help of infrastructure, helping you shout a little bit louder and get the message that you might want other people to know about, get a little bit further. So looking just on the roadside, what Cooperative is really about is the standard vehicle heartbeat, regular messaging that is transmitted over a dedicated Wi-Fi. That's in a nutshell what we're talking about. Today we've been working to those standards for a number of years. Recently we've been asking ourselves, there's a lot of interesting information being generated that we expect to be generated on the roadside. Why stop there? Why not make that information available in a control centre environment to the traffic operator? So essentially, we've been looking to introduce another layer of communications here and orchestrate a network of a wider platform consisting of a whole network across the city that may include a number of roadside units, not necessarily limited to those. Where it's all going, though, is the central platform that enables cooperative services, cooperative and connected services that acknowledges the use of LTE-based messaging as well. It's intended to be a multi-purpose platform, but to begin with, it will be about collecting up information in a single point of the network for viewing by the traffic operator. That also allows them to identify issues on the network at the time and communicate that down to the vehicles and send messages directly back into the vehicle. That are indeed context relevant based on the type of vehicle that we're talking to and their location in relation to certain events. Over time, we expect to enhance, expand the functionality of the platform with as more data comes in to enhance that resource, and more intensive analytics engines will provide further functionality. It's currently in development. It is currently a simulated version running live on an unfortunately small screen over the corner, just to demonstrate that and it's not running on my laptop, it's running from a hosted location. I would be very glad to, perhaps after the discussion in a cooler environment, talk through a little bit more the gubbins, how it works. Just to close that off, then, it's really about generating information to the traffic manager. We call it upwards, going from the roadside to central, which is about generating insights, and then with the help of services through the platform, then also sending information back down. Information services made available to the roadside, which is journey time information, traffic information related to events, roadworks, incidents, accidents, and moving forward more advanced things. I want to summarise that then: upward information, downward information, services. In our minds, there's value to be added. We certainly need to consider both directions of travel, but the upward is very significant to us in network management capacity. So, providing information to a traffic operator is about collecting, visualising, gaining insight through data. That's the starting point. Then identifying targeted ways of identifying some solutions, which might lead us to provide more advanced manipulation of data. And it's about understanding the whole network. So that need to be restricted to the road space itself. Some of you heard a little bit about our work in quality. Placemaking is certainly on the picture as well. So it's not just about the pipe through which the vehicle travels, it's about the whole city. And then the downward view, it's really about information directed to the vehicle, which will improve network performance by influencing driver behaviour. We're also looking at key users on the network, public transport, logistics providers, sprint to mind, but I've just highlighted emergency services as an example of key potential beneficiaries of this system. It's about improving safety and efficiency on the network. Just then to give you a view of what you might see on screen, just a static view. This is what it might start to look like. Map-based functionality. Ultimately, the information made available through CCSP could well be piped into other systems, existing UTMC systems. Good examples with mind. But just there is a mapping functionality available just to visualise the network. Cooperative awareness messaging messages the heartbeat of the cooperative system emitted by vehicles on a per second basis. Will be presented as something like journey times to a traffic operator. And from that, when we see it slowing down, for example, that can be flagged as incidents and accidents, or something else that we can predict, and therefore nothing to worry about. But particularly, we'll be just as an example there, we've seen an accident come in, and we've been able to generate a report on that. You see it happening just on the south side of the river in Bristol, and the black line, the trail there, allows us to understand who's going to get the message about that. So that designates if you're on that space and you're connected up, you will be receiving that message. I just wanted to mark up as we go into a couple of projects that we're running at the moment. There is we are moving to trial the whole system, and as it appeared on the screenshot, I just wanted to flag up our planned trial in the Flourish project. Without further ado, I want to talk about a very interesting large collaboration project that we are delivering on at the moment with the help of CCAV and Innovate UK. We've got a 14-partner collaboration coming together, essentially to talk about what society will need from connected and autonomous vehicles. Autonomous vehicles is on the horizon. Some of you may have heard about that already in the presentation just previously. And for us, it's significant in the way that we present information and the way that we prepare networks in the next few years. From Dynniq's perspective, we're looking at the the network manager as a stakeholder, stakeholder to benefit from the resource coming from connected and autonomous vehicles. Widely, it's about understanding not just the unit, the vehicle that moves itself, but the broader issues relating to that. The project is headed up by Atkins. We're working closely with developing some compliant solutions through the CCSP. We also have representation from 2 local authorities in the Bristol City region, Bristol City and South Gloucestershire, and both universities with whom we're working in different ways of understanding the kinds of services that will be available through connected technologies. I also want to mention that with Burgess and Lindrum, Burgess are present here today, there are issues relating to data management, privacy, security, that will have huge implications for the success or otherwise of connected vehicles, indeed connected and autonomous vehicles. How that data gets managed will be significant. How we engender trust that data will be used in a sensible way for the purposes only that it's needed for to benefit users of cabs. It's going to be significant for us. There is policy angle to that regulation point of view that we are informing through the project. I wanted to mention one of the key things that appears on the board here, which is around managing disruption due to incidents. We're also working in close collaboration with AIMSUN, who are providing us with a modelling environment, recognising that it will be some years off before CAFs really come into force. We want to understand now some of the effects of rules or behaviours that we implement on the network, and how we really enhance that to improve compliance with messages and improve performance on the network. We're running a series of trials associated with that, simulation trials, if you like, through which we hope to understand how, in an instance of disruption, we can really provide through rerouting options, deliver directly into the vehicle, how we can cope there. We're also running a series of on-road trials that are focused around the connectivity, in the case of the test network that we're setting up in Bristol, essentially trying to understand the limitations of what can be provided through cooperative technologies, and therefore looking to push those boundaries by seeing what services can be delivered through that specification. And we're running a series of trials on a more closed environment with autonomous vehicles driving themselves, with a particular stakeholder in mind, the 70+ category, which provides with an interesting angle on the project. Another view on how cabs can really be beneficial for society as a whole. In summary, this project is really about the combination of the individual user, the vehicle, sitting in the vehicle, and the city. So we're bringing all those together through this collaboration. I also wanted to mention a couple of other projects that we're working on. It flourishes a little bit further in time. We are, from our perspective, we're looking at what it means in terms of property for the next couple of years. Throughout the course of next year, we'll also be working on a couple of telematics projects that are more focused on logistics providers, but also work site safety as well. And we've just started on a separate CCAD funded project. Just to really float the the future direction, if you like. That's a little rundown of where we're at the moment. I didn't want to close this off without giving you a sense of our future direction. And this is where we see it going. At the moment, we are working on the foundation platform, but we couldn't serve up this set of we couldn't deliver on this at the moment. We're heading in that direction. Dynamic control zones we see as being the next generation of providing influence on the network, doing that in real time. Essentially, where we want to be able to get to is identifying an issue on the network, whether it be manual or in an automated way. Identify an issue on the network and then present that in terms of the affected users on the road. That will depend on the incident in question. For an accident, that might be quite wide. For an air quality incident, that might be quite contained. But we want to understand who's affected by this and then generate a zone that reflects the relevant area. That might be done. That will be done at the control centre. Going forward then, what would you do once you've designated that zone of interest? Well, we'd like to see a number of options become available to really close the loop and provide influence on network. Number of available measures that we're looking at, our menu, if you like, we expect to grow as we imagine and build further. But just to give you a flavour of where that's going, temporary speed limits might be applicable. In the case of an air quality incident you're trying to offset, exclusions by vehicle type might apply the same. Speed limits might apply if there's adverse weather conditions on the network as well, for example. New rerouting and redirecting strategies as well might be significant. Currently, we work with traffic operators work with a standard redirection route. The question is, can we expand the number of options that we have within digital infrastructure to really see what the impact of different routing strategies in the case of an accident might be. I hope you can see through our work in the Flourish project where how we're heading towards that. A number of options that we see to be available, that we'd like to be available within the control zone, expand over time. We also expect that the traffic operator will be able to will essentially be supported more and more by a strategy supervisor who grows in intelligence. A lot of the analytics engines that we want to run through the central platform will provide that further enhanced functionality and really start to advance the number of insights that we can create and the number of measures. Perhaps a terrifying glimpse into the future, but one that we'd really like to explore with the group and see where the value is. Essentially, this is a question that I want to open up for discussion. How might we expand the flavour of the tools and options available to traffic operators with the help of this space of this set of technologies and the platform that it creates? What measures should be on the menu, if I may call it that, and what are the key issues and barriers to adoption that you see? And I will hope to answer perhaps some of those questions. Sam, take it away.
Security is always going to be the first one to refine the movement of that information. Problem with top, yes, now the less secure that you are, the more defined data you have, more granular it is, the better information that the traffic operator has. The situation you have at the minute is everything is wouldn't say highly aggregated, but at the bare minute aggregated to every minute. When you get to Cooperative data, you get stuff every 10 meters or every second or whatever it is like that. What are you going to deliver to the traffic operator? Where do you find the balance being between identifiable and useful?
Personally identifiable. Yes, indeed. So security has a number of angles here. Right, the data privacy here is certainly significant. So there is a broader question around how much data will people be willing to actually provide. I think what we want to start to answer through what we're doing, particularly through the Flourish project, is identifying what that means for you personally. If you are able to essentially enter into a social contract with a provider, what will it mean for you? What will it mean for you? So what's the benefit of offering up the information around where you intend to go? That's the first barrier we've got to overcome. Do people have it? Is there any appetite at all to offer up that information? I think part of the work we're doing is really trying to shed some light on what that really means for your journey. In terms of making sure that that's handled securely, certainly levels of aggregation will be significant. For some of the more basic functions around journey time monitoring, the current understanding around data aggregation will perhaps suffice. If you want to provide rerouting information that doesn't include the destination, then there might be some creative strategies that we could adopt with the help of essentially roughly where you want to go. We can improve the journey somewhat, but make sure that data is handled securely is the prime importance to engendering trust there.
Sorry, Tony Dynniq from TRL. Again, I think this is going to be a data privacy limitation, but ultimately, to the day-to-day traffic operator, information about the specific journey, specific congestion, disruption, rerouting is really helpful. To the key stakeholder being council or local operator, the key information would be everybody's journey A to B, strategically over the course of a year, where our journey is being made, to then inform how do we reroute roads, the investment into roads going forward. But I can't see that ever being actually allowed, because that's like chipping everybody basically to find out where they're going to and from.
I suppose if you that's certainly a way of looking at it. I think so. Just to say, I mean, at the operational level, that's really where we've been focusing on this discussion. It's within the scope of what we're looking at the moment, particularly Flourish as well, to look at that strategic aggregating view as well. So we don't ignore that. In fact, we regard that as highly significant to how we improve in the future. It's not just going to be about the day-to-day it's going to be about scheme design. It's going to be about understanding, perhaps with the help of a new, very rich data resource, where the safety principles are, for example. So that's something that we are looking at and is within the scope of the project as well. I actually think that the level of aggregation that you would need for that strategic view really offsets the privacy problem. I think you can actually achieve a lot without necessarily looking at the origin destination. We don't get to the point where we can do the full bottom-up picture from the micro level. But in terms of, we're spotting a number of areas where the message types that are available within the core resource of Cooperative technologies that relate to vehicle type, including whether you're a bus, and certain specific information if you are a bus, for example. But also just the speed and acceleration in 3 dimensions is really helpful. provides links into the network you may not see. Whether we'll get there for origin and destination, I don't know, but I'm confident there are lots of things that we can actually reveal without accessing the data at that level, without attaching chips to people. Chris, please.
Chris Jackson, Burgess, and obviously working closely with you and other colleagues on this project. Three thoughts. The first was a question that I understand comes up from you and other technical colleagues, which is before you get to what you do and how you do it, as I understand, there is a capacity issue in terms of just the sheer volume of data that has to be represented. Yes, I think it's absolutely stretch my mind, certainly, in terms of the amount that we describe it. If you can say something about that, then it very well help me. The second point is around just enabling it. One of the things we obviously will be looking at is the different types of data, and then just quietly behind all of this putting in place the regulatory compliance to do it. So some elements of the data, for example, if you're enabling use by disabled persons and things like that, may actually capture some medical data which will require a level of compliance. But that can be woven into the regulatory architecture part of the system. Providing everybody consents to it in an informed way, then that can just happen. And the third level is, which leads into how much are people prepared to share, which at what level of aggregation that they need to understand. And it strikes me that there's a huge paradox here, which is if one looks at the degree of analysis which is done on personal data, well, let's just say Facebook, and targeting of the need to actually everything from kids' photos to family photos to where you spend your holidays and how you do and the rest of it. The degree of acceptance of that is already huge, and a much greater level of acceptance than I understand we need to do to make these projects viable. So what is the difference? Actually, I was in a session yesterday, Steve really asked a perfect question, which is why do people get upset? And eventually the gist was, we're happy so long as we're not going to be caught out speeding or breaking the law. If one can get away with the sentence, but actually, so my sense is there's a long way to say it, is actually, my sense is that we'll get acceptance when we realise that people won't realise that the data will not be used against them. It's less about what other people are doing with the data, and what's the downside. If actually we're in a speed control environment, like we are, for example, by analogy on speed control section, smart motions, actually that where it goes. It's actually if they're not able to commit offences and know that we won't be using that, that is part of the part of it.
That's right.
Very through the long run.
Okay, perhaps I'll answer, try and take the last question first. I think really that we did kind of a similar paradox that we come up against something that ultimately we're trying to get everyone to the destination more quickly, but we have a number of priorities that need to be managed, and ultimately we need to pull everyone to get to the destination quickly, but at an individual level. What does that mean? Sometimes that involves writing speed and in time. Who knows what that will mean going forward. I think the trust element is really going to come by. So you mentioned Facebook there. Really, there is a certain level of I think people are wising up to how the data is being used. I think going forward we will have a conversation that's much more informed around that. I think working in this space, we should be ready for that. I think we are able to engage in that way. But I think it's kind of social contract not to say gone. I think what Facebook have really done is draw people together, and then it's clear what the value is of providing that data. And the key thing here is to really elucidate that in the traffic management space and say what this actually means in terms of getting to a destination quickly and safely. For the kinds of users that we take a look at in case of disabilities or age-related impairments, the case becomes stronger. Perhaps it's clear there is a benefit to whether it be moving around in an autonomous vehicle safely, or whether it be having a journey that is by being connected to an operational centre that understands your needs. That's something that we might be in a better position to address more quickly. So, what's in it for them? What's in it for the user might become clearer. Come back to the first question. It really is about. I think we've seen 4 terabytes of data within an hour generated within a driverless car, and really, you need to take as little of that as you can possibly get away with, because if you start generating anything, if you start transmitting anywhere near that volume of data outside the vehicle, well, no one's going to be able to talk to each other. So the core message set around technology, around cooperative technologies, have been designed with streamlined communications in mind. But I think we're at the starting point of a whole new sets of applications that will require new message sets, and that will expand over time. It needs to be that much.
One more question. To you.
Two things really. One, I think the difference between Facebook and cooperative stuff, the reality is if this is a social contract, it will be the purchase of a vehicle or something like that. It's a tick box. The difference with Facebook is every time you put a picture on there, you choose to put it on there. Once you tick that box and it pops a vehicle, that's it, you're in. But then it comes back to aggregation again. And so if you're aggregating the data, for example, somewhere near the roadside unit or something like that, and it's completely anonymous, how is it really any different from privacy? Because the minor side will tell you that there is a collection of vehicles doing this speed, in this location, going in this direction. Cooperative vehicle, providing that you anonymise it and it is aggregated, provides you the same information or being a little bit more.
Yeah. I should add, as we come back round to something, I should add that the core message sets are anonymous by design. So ultimately, you will be identified as that spot that was seen at a previous location, maybe 20 seconds ago or a minute ago. But that's as far as the memory goes. If you like. That's how it's been set up. That level of aggregation, I mean, from our perspective, there is a lot that can be achieved just by having a new source of data that helps us understand the truth of journey times, flow, and accidents and events on the network. Already, that's plenty to be getting on with over the next couple of years. That, harnessing that and making that available operationally without any view onto who exactly is travelling where will be keeping us busy. But I hope that we can participate in the conversation that how can we minimise the amount of personally identifiable information that generates these information services, but where we need it, how can we access that in a way that people that is transparent and which people really understand what it's for and what it's not for. Thank you. I'll be here for the next few hours to talk about the systems that we have.
I'll give it another go. Food, young grass. Sam, you got anything to drink, please?
No, I'm right.